kill your brother and hits the father of your child instead.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Your Honor, Season 2, Episode 9, Review. Warning, spoilers ahead, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. We ultimately had the trial that many had fought to prevent, but it took a lot to get there. The two main plot lines of Your Honor, Season 2, Episode 9 were Michael's discovery of a bond with Jimmy and Eugene's trial. Being the penultimate episode of the season, it spent the majority of its time preparing the audience for the explosive Your Honor Season 2 conclusion. We had already established that Eugene's decision to go to trial was his greatest chance of avoiding incarceration or, in the worst case, receiving a light sentence that spared him from serving out his prime years. His case appeared simple from the outside, and they went all out in the prosecution's opening remarks. The district attorney presented the case as facts, demonstrating unequivocally that Eugene had intended to kill people from the beginning. He demonstrated that Eugene had planned the crime, even though the person who died was not the intended victim. If they don't prosecute him with murder for Adam's passing, they ought to find him guilty of trying to kill Carlo. Liz Lee was wise enough to refrain from challenging the facts because she was well aware of how they appeared. If she had chosen that path, they would have lost. When the crime was committed in a room with at least 100 individuals present, it is impossible to demonstrate that no one was killed. There must have been something observed. She had to present the jurors with a different story if she wanted to make sure they even paid attention to Eugene's situation. She did as well. She enlightened them to the wider picture. Eugene was being sacrificed by evil individuals as a form of defense. A more significant issue in the community and the legal system led to Eugene's case. The legal system failed to defend him, his family, and his brother. She pushed the limits, too. Even the DA was taken aback by her reasoning. He nearly said, well, she went there, in that moment. She transferred the responsibility from herself and Eugene to the jurors. Her points were sincere, and the jury was moved by them. She only required that. Unlike judges, jurors don't follow the strict rules of the law. They consider the evidence and the humanity of the defendants before making a decision. From the first line, Miss Lee sowed a doubt in their minds. By the last, it had grown into a full-fledged tree. We enjoy seeing it. The prosecution was speechless by the time she was finished with her testimony. The heartbroken mother's testimony was an attempt to appeal to the jury's emotions, but it was too late at this time. She addressed every black person stereotype that exists. Kindly note, is it harmful to be wearing a sweatshirt and loose-fitting sweatpants? If so, then we are all in danger. She deserves praise for how bravely she stood up for herself. If she hadn't chosen to follow in her family's footsteps, she ought to have been a lawyer. The prosecution panicked and decided to postpone the verdict because the jury was undecided and there were suspect witnesses. In all honesty, the jury won't change their minds as a result of Michael's evidence. The best he can hope for is for them to feel sorry for him. If they find out that he is a fallen judge, the game is done. And even if he does testify, I think Eugene will benefit from his testimony. Michael is on a mission of atonement and will stop at nothing to make up for his previous transgressions. The Rocco Adams scandal claimed many lives, but Kofi was by far the most innocent victim. We were as surprised as Michael was when Jimmy made an intriguing proposal to him. Perhaps he does need his wife because Gina would have yelled at him and scared him away from the notion if she had been around. 3. The best he can hope for is for them to feel sorry for him. If they find out that he is a fallen judge, the game is done. And even if he does testify, I think Eugene will benefit from his testimony. Michael is on a mission of atonement and will stop at nothing to make up for his previous transgressions. The Rocco Adams scandal claimed many lives, but Kofi was by far the most innocent victim. We were as surprised as Michael was when Jimmy made an intriguing proposal to him. Perhaps he does need his wife because Gina would have yelled at him and scared him away from the notion if she had been around. That particular choice was an intriguing turn in the plot that didn't amount to much in this episode but could benefit the show well in subsequent season, assuming there are any. A fascinating perspective to take would be to investigate how Michael's longing for family led him to seek comfort from the Baxter family. He also seems to get along well with the rest of the family, despite Gina's dislike of him. Even though it caused Carlo to reveal some problems, the vehicle journey with him brought them closer. Carlo was upset to hear that, while he was present, his father was seeking a right-hand man. That is what he has been striving for all of his life, right? Jimmy also giving it away to a stranger. Jimmy's choice was understandable given that Carlo could not be counted on to make a deliberate choice, even if it meant saving his life. There were some uninteresting developments in Desire in the interim. If the writers hadn't combined Big Mo with Little Mo, it would have made for an intriguing turn in the story. Small Mo wasn't required because Big Mo would have murdered Chris anyway because Chris had hit her where it hurts the most. The narrative didn't seem to have much to it, especially after Little Mo's expulsion from Desire was made into a big deal. After Olivia made the fatal error of giving Fia access to sensitive investigation data, Jimmy was alarmed to find that the federal authorities were after him. Part 19 felt a touch flat but was nonetheless entertaining because it spent the most of its running time trying to set up the season finale. Thank you for watching. Thank you.